MMOs, probably gaming's most complete form of escapism. This world that you can be completely immersed in almost as a second reality to the level of some of the most varied and wide single-player RPGs, but this world exists even when you leave it. It's this true example of a world that lives and breathes, and you can join with thousands of people all across the world and create this whole second existence. It's such a fascinating part of gaming that has always interested me, but at the same time something I've always very staunchly refused to get heavily involved in. It's one where I've experienced a lot of MMOs through other people, vicariously through friends and family, watching sometimes for hours, people playing bits and pieces, starting a character just for a couple hours, playing on a friend's account, that type of thing, especially with Asheron's Call and Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast. Those really stick out as ones that I probably put a decent amount of time interacting with friends through. There was one, though, however, that I did spend some decent amount of time with and spent countless hours watching and playing with, a friend on the same computer and talking and creating some minor characters and just having a ton of fun with, and that's the original EverQuest. I spent so much time with EverQuest even before it came out. I was lucky enough that when it was in elementary school, my friend Zach's dad, Keith Parkinson, was the cover artist for EverQuest, the original version, and a couple of the expansion sets. I think most of the expansion sets, actually, if not all of them. And I got to experience EverQuest before it was released to the public, before it actually hit retail shelves, which was very cool and it was a very interesting experience, and it was something that was just groundbreaking to me, and I really was fascinated. And even then, when I was really young, it was probably, I forgot what year the first EverQuest came out, but I think I was in maybe 3rd grade when it came out, 4th grade at most, when I first started playing it. And even then I still had this reservation that later I came to put into words, where my issue with MMOs and why I've never gotten heavily into them is the idea that it's so consuming and so much fun, and you get so involved and you become a part of a community and this world, and you have so many memories attached to it, and then one day it's gone, it disappears. That's the issue why I can never get into MMOs, because I don't like getting involved into that sort of thing, sort of the collector in me, the wanting to revisit and relive and add to experiences. I want to be able to have at least the option of coming back to something, and so many MMOs, eventually it's gone forever, and sometimes maybe it's reborn and continued through like fan servers and different things like that, and the community itself tries to keep it alive in some limited capacity, and that's been successful with a couple of things, but even that eventually someday is going to go away, and things are not going to exist. It's not like buying a game, a single-player offline experience on a disc and just having it as long as you take care of this thing for decades and decades. And that's been the barrier, the why I've never super gotten into MMOs. That is really the number one thing, and I would like to know if you guys have that same sort of mentality, or if you've gotten MMOs and it's just sort of fond memories that you can go back to and you don't really care that you don't revisit it and that type of thing. To me, though, the one that has always interested me the most and what I have memories with, again, I said, is EverQuest. That original one, knowing someone who was involved in the actual creation, art at least, for that game is really, really cool, and getting to interact with it before it was even released. And then the first couple of years, I can't tell you how much time I spent just kind of watching it, because my friend Zach's older brother Nick especially, he lived on EverQuest for the longest time, the original one, and he would just be playing it while we're doing other stuff and come up from the basement or whatever, or in the living room of their house in Arizona, and he'd be on it and just watch him for a while sometimes, and created a few characters and things, and it was so much fun and such a world, and I was always enticed to get a copy for myself, not just play a little bit at his house and just get involved, but I just, even at that young age, had this realization that this thing could go away forever. At some point this thing is going to disappear, and the original EverQuest is a good example of one that fans did a good job of keeping that thing going for such a long time. I mean, you have really active communities, and I think now even Phantasy Star Online on Dreamcast, I think it's still up right now with some fan servers. I'm pretty sure it's still going right now. But overall, it's just something where it's a cool, fascinating part of gaming that I've always been interested in, but I've never been able to bite the bullet and really heavily get into one, because of that element of just some point in what if it ends up being one of my favorite experiences ever, and someday it's just gone, and I can't bring myself to get involved in that. That's really the number one reason.